Welcome to Who Let the Dogs Out, the podcast designed to help you enjoy life with your best friend without all the frustrations. Join us each week as we help families across the country do just that. I'm your host, Corey, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Sally.
And today we have got I think it's a dog talk / Q&A. We're kind of mixing it up a little bit.
It's a bit of a dog talk and a couple of questions, but one of the questions actually leads into the dog talk.
Okay, so are we doing the dog talk first or the question first?
I'm going to do the question.
Okay.
Then we're going to do the dog talk because it's going to explore and expand the question.
Okay.
And then I've got another question after that.
Gotcha. And I think you said some of these are like related to barking and stuff.
It is. It's a big thing on barking.
Gotcha.
And then I've got another one about getting children involved in training.
Okay, great. So if you want to learn how to get your kids involved in training and how to, work on barking, I don't know where exactly this is going to go just yet, but if you want to learn about barking and how to get your kids involved in training, stick with us towards the end. And for those of you that are new and tuning in, my name's Corey. I'm the founder of Wonder Dog. January 1st will be 7 years in business at owning Wonder Dog, and I guess it's November now, but October made 9 years as a dog trainer. So anyways, that's who I am. And Sally is?
I'm part of the admin team. So I'm in the background doing ordering, payroll, do the calls as a gatekeeper. So a lot of the background mechanics of Wonder Dog.
Yeah, AKA keeps the whole thing running smooth, basically. But yeah, that's who we are for those that don't know us. We have a handful of different formats today. Like I said, we're kind of mixing up two of our main formats. So we've got Dog Talk, which is where we come on and talk about a topic related to dogs, dog ownership, dog training. Then we've got a Q&A format where you guys ask the questions. We give you the answers. If you want to write in a question, you can reach Sally at
wonderdogtraining.com.
Yep. Or you can reach me at Corey from Wonder Dog on Instagram, or you can leave a comment below on whichever platform you're watching on, whether it be YouTube or Spotify or Rumble or wherever it is. You can leave a comment and we'll get the questions there as well. So if you guys want to write in some questions, you can. We'll also have some interviews. We've done one so far. I think we've got one coming up here shortly. We're going to be hosting debates and live shows long term. We've got all sorts of stuff planned as we continue to grow the show. But those are the main formats, and that's how you can send in topics and questions that you want us to talk about on the podcast. So I guess before we jump in, I was just going to say, if you guys like the show, we just ask that you share it with a friend, family member, colleague, something like that. You get any value, you think it's funny, entertaining, whatever it is. If you don't mind just sharing the show, that really helps boost us up in the algorithm and grow. Seems like it's kind of picking up traction week over week, which is a lot of fun for us.
I know.
Yeah, so we're super excited about that. So anyways, all that being said, if you get any value out of the show, please share it with a friend, family member, colleague, neighbor, whoever needs, help. Because our goal is, once again, to put out quality dog training information at no cost.
Should we do the exciting challenge?
Yeah, no, that was what was coming up next.
Is that the segue into this?
Yeah, so
awesome.
We made this beautiful board. I'm looking at it in the camera lens. Let me get my water bottle out of the way. Okay, so we've got this board here, and this is tracking our subscriber growth all the way up here to 1,000, and down here was 50. So our big goal is by 12/31 or 1/1, whichever, we want to hit 200 subscribers across all platforms. So we've got 50, 100, 125, 150, probably going to put 175 or something like that there. And then 200 is our big goal by the new year. So we're at 131 across all platforms right now. Our big goal is 200. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, we still love you. But can you please just hit the subscribe button? That'd mean a lot to us. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is. But that's our big goal. And so we're hoping to get to 1,000. We don't have a timeline for that just yet. Hopefully, as the show keeps rolling and picking up over and over, we'll get more traction and stuff like that. But that's the goal. So I don't know. We might start showing that off every episode to track our growth and things like that. So anyways.
Wouldn't it be wonderful, though, if by the next podcast, we've had a huge jump?
Yeah.
So not just 4, maybe like 10 people subscribe in a week.
Yeah.
Or even more. So just click.
Yeah. Click the link or click the button, whatever it is. I think it's subscribe / follow on different platforms. I think on Spotify and Rumble, it's follow. On YouTube, it's subscribe. So Apple Podcasts, all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, subscribe, follow. That means a lot to us. Our big goal, once again, is 200 by the new year. And if we could shoot past that, that'd be even cooler.
It would be. Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, we're super excited. Anyways, all that being said, it's time to jump into the show. Which last time we did a podcast, we talked about the upcoming Halloween celebration / 1-year-old birthday party.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we posted a video of it too. Of the Halloween celebration / Sully's 1-year-old birthday party. So you want to tell them about what we did?
So we had a few friends over, just a nice small group, so it wasn't too stimulating and overwhelming. But they were all in their costumes.
Yep.
We had a pumpkin and a teddy bear, and Mia was sporting her new police officer uniform.
She was.
Sully, of course, was a little piggy.
I actually thought it was going to be Sully from Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, I changed my mind at the last minute.
The pig outfit was very cute.
It was cute, though,
Very
wasn't
cute.
it? That was the
Yeah.
first one I bought out because I call him sometimes his little piggy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had those few.
Charlie was a teddy bear.
Yeah, we had.
Lacey was a weenie dog. The weenie
I was
dog.
gonna say-
Lacey the weenie dog was an Oscar Mayer wiener. She was a hot dog.
She was a hot dog.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, we played some fun games too. We did because we did it here at HQ, and we kind of combined the games / birthday party, and it was a lot of fun. So what we did was we did one game, which is I don't really have like a fun name for it, but it was like the recall game. So basically, the dog has to stay like 20 or 30 feet away from the owner. One dog goes at a time. And they get like 2 or 3 chances in a row. But basically, you call the dog, and then whoever gets to the owner fastest and sits wins.
Yeah.
And it ended up getting pretty competitive. It
Oh
got
my
pretty
gosh!
competitive.
But what about little Weston's
Yeah.
time compared
Weston
to
ended
all the
up-
bigger dogs?
Yeah, Weston ended up winning, like with no handicap or anything. He ended up winning the whole thing. So Weston's a little like Yorkie, and I think he got like 2.6 seconds or something
Yeah.
crazy like that, 2.64 or
He
something.
loves it,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so he was pretty quick.
And then Nellie was doing her slide into base, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Nellie the Doodle.
Yeah, maybe we should plug the video that we put in the podcast or link it or something like that. We might plug the video in of like showing off the event and
so
stuff.
much
It was a lot of
fun.
fun. This week we had a Halloween event and it was a ton of fun. We had a handful of dogs come out and they were all dressed up in different costumes and we had a ton of fun. We played different games like the come when called game where the dog has to come and then sit in front of the owner and the dog that comes the fastest and sits wins the prize. One of the little dogs was the unexpected winner, but everybody had a great competition. If you watch, the dogs get really excited and they love running fast and coming to their owners and sitting as fast as they can. That golden doodle just slid into home plate. And there's Mia dressed up as a police officer having a ton of fun. She's taking her job as a police officer, training with the police dogs, just a little too serious. We also had Sully's 1-year-old birthday party, and as you can see, he got gifts, all the dogs there got cupcakes, and it was a lot of fun. And then we showed the lineup of all the different dogs in their Halloween costumes, which is a ton of fun. Sully dressed up as a pig, we had a weenie dog dressed up as a hot dog, Nellie the pumpkin, Charlie the teddy bear, and Mia, of course, the police officer. Follow for more. Yeah, but it ended up getting pretty competitive because it started out like 4 or 5 seconds or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then Weston got down to like 3.5. And then we could let everybody go again. We did a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, and then we did a game where you have to like carry these 2 big boxes. They're like 1 foot by 1 foot boxes, and you have to carry them on your hand like a server's tray, and then you have to heel with your dog like around the cone, and whoever gets back to the starting line fastest wins. And that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And then we did, of course, did birthday celebrations for
We
Mr. Sully.
did.
So.
We had puppy cupcakes, and we had human cupcakes as well. Even though the humans could have eaten the puppy cupcakes, but
Yeah.
we did that too.
Yeah.
It was a good morning of fun.
Yeah.
People coming
Get back.
together.
Mia, of course, is doing her every podcast move that she does where she walks behind
She's
and tries to cross over the cords
Yeah.
while we're doing the podcast. So thank you, Mia. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
We need to get her on a seat again and have her sat watching because she likes that.
Yeah. If we put a mic in front of her, she'd probably start grunting. Yeah.
You could show everybody how you've taught her to bark
Yeah.
on command. That's always fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about you.
We banked
missus.
a bunch of podcast videos too, or not podcast videos, but like content videos to start posting on social media and stuff like that. We're trying to
Yeah,
make
they were lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some fun ones coming up. Made me chuckle.
Yeah. I actually think I'm gonna have Gideon insert them right here. Is your dog flipping on a leash? No problem. Want your dog to train your dog to walk right and nice next to you. Nice and right next to you. Sorry, I hurt my head a little. I guess with all that being said, it's time to jump in and do a podcast.
I think we should.
All right, let's do it. What you got?
Okay, so first question that's going to lead into the dog talk is this person lives in an apartment and has had several complaints about nuisance barking when she's not there. Dog barks when she's there as well. She says she doesn't want to get kicked out of her apartment.
Of
What
course.
can I do?
Yeah. I mean, this one's a tougher one to fix. I mean, it's not, but it's overall, it's like it's a tougher pill to swallow, I guess. Just that like your dog's barking when you're not around, and that creates problems for people. I mean, I live in an apartment, and fortunately, there's not a ton of dogs that bark or whatnot. But I remember one day there was this one dog that was just barking the whole time. That I guess the people were gone or whatever, and I was like, man, this is very frustrating. I'm like, I need to leave him a flyer or something. So I get it. Overall, I mean, the big answer is going to be you're probably going to have to use some sort of like barking device or whatnot. So there's a couple different routes that I go with that generally. And these are the ones that I personally use the most. Now, there's probably other options out there. These are just the ones that I personally use the most. I'm either going to use like a bark box that basically makes like a high pitch frequency when the dog barks. That'd probably be like my first go-to to try. Basically, it makes like a high pitch frequency when the dog barks. Mia, it works really well with Mia. It works really well with my parents' border collie that they have. Works really well with, I'd say, in my experience, it seems like it works really well with like half the dogs we try it with, and the other half it doesn't really work very well with. I don't know. I haven't been able to figure out exactly like which dogs it works well with and which ones it doesn't. But it seems to work for about half of them. The one I have is just when you get on Amazon, I just type in Birdhouse Bark Box or something like that. I don't know the brand. It's like a light brown and dark brown birdhouse with like a brown roof on it or whatnot. It looks like a birdhouse. It's got, low and high pitch frequency or whatnot. And like I said, it works really well with some dogs. I would try that first just because that's a, pretty non-invasive way to like try to get that behavior to go away. My secondary recommendation would be some sort of bark collar, that you would put on the dog. And, unlike a remote collar where you're in charge of when the dog feels a feeling, whether it's a vibrate or a tingle or a tone or something like that, instead of being in control of that like you would be with a remote collar, the bark collar the dog's in control of, so it goes off when they bark. Now, there's all sorts of bark collars. I'm talking about one that actually like stems the dog and gives the dog like a little tingle feeling whenever it does bark. There's all sorts of them though. They've got them where they can vibrate. They've got some that like I've never seen one in person, but I've heard of ones that like do like a little like spritz whenever the dog barks of like, like a citronella spray or something. I've never personally used one. I've heard of those before. I'm talking about one that like actually stems the dog when they bark. The one I have, it's got 3 functions. And I haven't had to use it with Mia in a long time, but I had another dog that I watched for a long time that would bark when I would leave and put him in the crate or just leave him in my room. He'd just bark every now and then. It was actually so shrill that it would set the house alarm off. Like there was one time I was doing a training appointment, my alarm started going off. I'm like, oh my God, my house is getting broken. I got to go. And I was right down the street from my house. So I drove home real fast. Nobody's breaking in. It's the dog barking that set off the alarm. So, anyways, but the one that I have has 3 functions. It'll go up increasingly every time the dog barks, and then it'll reset after 30 seconds of silence. It'll go up and then remember where it's at. So the next time, even if the dog stops barking, if then they try barking again in like 2 or 3 minutes, it'll go up. It'll go to the next level of the collar. And then they've got it where you can set it on like I guess just like whatever setting, like 1 through whatever it is. Anyways, that's what I would probably do if like the birdhouse didn't work or something like that. Both of those options. And the reason for those is because you don't have to be involved at all. Like you don't have to be involved at all. And the dog if the dog barks, they've, either feel the feeling or hear the sound or whatever it is. So that'd probably be where I'd go. Outside of just that though, I mean, I'd try to do other things. I mean, that's just like the immediate fix. Other things I'd try to do to like work on this outside of just those 2 kind of corrective measures would be I'd make sure I've got the dog like well worn out before I have to leave for work every day. So taking them on a walk or running them or playing fetch with them or something like that. Burn up all that excess energy and stuff like that. So that'd be the first thing. Number 2 would be just, try to make wherever they're staying like comfortable for them, putting some like fun stuff in there. But if a dog doesn't like being left alone, it doesn't really matter how many toys or, how comfortable you make the crate or the bed or whatever it is. Like they just don't really like being left alone, And so that would be another thing. I would, just try to make their area comfortable for them and stuff like that. And then I think another option would be if like your dog doesn't tear stuff up, you might just like Mia, for example, doesn't like being in a crate. So if I leave her in a crate, she'll bark. If I just left her in my room and like where she could sleep on the bed, she's not going to bark. If I just leave her out in the house, she's not going to bark. She's not going to tear anything up either. But she would bark if I put her in a crate. So like maybe just trying to expand like the area that your dog is actually being left in. So if they don't tear anything up, that's kind of asterisk here. Like if your dog tears stuff up, you can't leave them out and then let them tear your nice house up or whatever, or all your stuff. So, but if they don't tear stuff up and it's just them barking because they don't like being left in the crate or they don't like being left alone or whatnot, you could try expanding the area that they're in, like giving them a room, like your bedroom or a laundry room or the whole house, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you could try all those things. But like I said, I'd work on wearing the dog out, making sure they're, nice and comfortable, maybe expanding the area they get left in. And then that would be like my kind of preface. And then, like I said, I'd add in some sort of corrective measure that, is able to correct the dog for barking that you don't have to be involved with, either the birdhouse bark box thing or the bark collar or something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if I was going to go with the bark collar, I'd go like middle of the road brand or a nice brand. I wouldn't go with like some cheap crappy
thing.
off Amazon that's like $30. No, I'd go with like the one I actually have is a sport dog. We don't use sport dog collars like for the dogs in training or whatnot. We use like either Dogtra or e-collar technologies, but I would go with either like something like middle of the road up in terms of like quality and stuff. I'd go with like a sport dog or Dogtra or e-collar technologies or something, some sort of nicer bark collar that's going to some sort of nicer bark collar, basically. I wouldn't want to use like a $20, $30 one that you can get off Amazon that's like a crappy collar. I'd if I'm going to, correct my dog, I want to invest in something that's going to give, nice, consistent corrections that's actually going to work really well and not hurt, as a byproduct.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that just popped into my mind is if families know that their dogs tend to bark and they're left for long periods of time, hire a dog walker.
Yeah, hire a dog walker too. Yeah,
we've got a couple of wonderful dog walkers that go to family homes when they're not there. They're given access to the dog and they take them out for a long walk, bring them back, breaks the day up, and the dog's got exercise. So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's another good one too.
Yeah, just thought of that one.
Yep.
Well, that leads into a little dog talk.
All right.
So and we'd had a request for this on barking because of like dogs have different barks, different meanings behind the barks, but also, again, just to explore if there is anything more to explore on nuisance barking. I think you covered it really well then.
I mean, I would say I would probably do the same thing for nuisance barking or whatnot. Another big context for barking that people don't really like is like they're, maybe a more nervous dog or fearful dog, like barking whenever guests come in or whatnot. And a couple things I would do for that. I went to this evaluation the other day and, in this family, their dog barks whenever people comes in, and then just like barks the whole time. And so I came in, the dog was like friendly. It was just like barking like in my face. Yeah. It wasn't like scared or anything. There's kind of a difference. Like scared dogs are like bark at a distance or whatnot. This dog was like just right in front of me barking, just like, hey, I'm here right in front of you. Hello. And anyway, so I sit down and I'm like, and I thought maybe, because normally I kind of go through a few different things when I go into somebody's house and the dog's barking. Like I go in, I'll sit down first and foremost because I'm huge. I'm 6'5" and 220 plus, and so I'm a huge guy. And so I try to sit down and make myself a little smaller to make the dogs a little bit more comfortable and stuff. Then that doesn't work. I'll try passing the dog some treats and stuff and see if I can get them to come towards me or be quiet with treats. If that doesn't work, normally I'll put them on a leash and I'll kind of just like force them to come near me. That's normally for like fearful dogs. This dog had no problem coming near me. So I put him on a leash, made him sit near me and stuff. And I just started like showing him like just basic like leash corrections, like literally just with a flat collar on, like no corrections, no nothing. Just a flat collar and a leash, just, giving the dog like little annoying pops on the leash whenever the dog would bark. And the dog like settled down and got really quiet. And they're like, wow, we've literally never seen that before. I was like, yeah, crazy, right? And anyway, so then, but I was saying all that to say, a lot of times when I go into people's houses, that's normally one of my first go-tos is like put the dogs that are barking on a leash and just kind of force them to confront their fear, which is me. And I'm not showing them a ton of attention or anything. I'm just getting them near me in my vicinity to show them like, hey, you can be near me and like you didn't die, right? Everything's fine, right?
Everything's fine.
Then I'll start trying to give them some treats and show them affection and different things like that and just kind of slowly warm them up. But a big one that you can do if you have guests that are coming over and you don't want your dogs barking at them, two things. One, have them on a leash whenever people arrive. And then don't let them just run away from the person. Like get them to be near the person and just kind of force them outside their comfort zone. Second one would be greet the person outside. So like more like neutral setting. Okay. Like, the front yard or the driveway is a little bit more neutral than like in the house where the dog spends, most of its life, right? So greeting the person outside. And then if like your dog like really likes, toys or treats or something like that, like I had another family, their dog barks and, they just had like a little incident with it barking and trying to nip at somebody. And the dog's like super ball motivated, like loves the tennis ball. And I was like, what you need to do is like introduce him to somebody and have them have the ball and then toss him the ball like right as they get introduced, where he's like, pairs the ball with like the person, like the new person or whatnot to just start showing that, hey, people aren't bad. People give me fun stuff, toys, treats, things like that. And so you can do a lot of different little things like that to work on the barking, but establish a greeting routine where you greet people outside, you put the dog on a leash, different things like that. You have the person that the dog's greeting, like have some of their favorite stuff, whether it be a treat or a toy, and just start trying to slowly build positive associations with the person that the dog's either scared of or maybe doesn't like as much or whatnot, and just start slowly building up a positive, piggy bank, so to speak, of interactions where it's like, okay, every time the dog meets somebody new, it's like a nice positive interaction, or at least neutral, not negative. Yeah, it's either neutral or positive, and so then over time, it's not a quick fix necessarily, but we can train the dog to say like, hey, people aren't so bad, Mia used to hate people, hate them, like was super scared of them, bark them, growl at them, things like that. She was not very friendly. And like now she loves people, because I've had this greeting routine where every time she meets somebody, they toss her tennis ball and then they'll play with her. And, they don't really, try to pet on her a ton. So she doesn't have to worry about people like trying to, now she loves getting petted and rubbed on and stuff. But anyways, it was just a slow like progress of just, positive interactions. Or if we're bringing somebody over to the house, we normally greet them outside on a leash. They'll toss her a tennis ball and she's like, whoa, this is awesome. This person, like, I just met them and they're giving me a tennis ball. I love that.
They like balls just like me.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that would be some other stuff I have on barking.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So really, no matter whether it's like barking for attention or fearful, you use the same techniques.
Yeah. I just noticed your nails, by the way. I really like them.
These are my Wonder Dog nails.
Wonder Dog nails, and you got some like little diamonds on them.
Little diamondy blings on there.
Yeah, no, they look great. They match the hoodie and everything.
Thank you.
They look great.
I like my Wonder Dog nails.
Yeah, no, they look great.
That was a distraction, wasn't it? But yeah, so what about owners raising their voice when dogs bark? My thought is that, and I know I do it.
Yeah.
But is there any benefit? Is that going to just escalate the issue, trying to get louder than them, or?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it depends, I guess, once again on the context. Like if, for example, we've got a huge glass door over that way or whatnot, and if Mia sees somebody in front of it, walking in front of the building or whatnot, sometimes she'll bark, and sometimes she'll just say stop or no or whatever the word I'm using, and she'll just stop. But sometimes she's like really agitated, and then I have to like yell at her or raise my voice a little bit, and she's like, fine, okay, I'll stop. So yeah, I mean, I'd say maybe if needed, raise your voice or
raise your voice if needed. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Different barks.
Sure.
So,
I mean, there's all sorts of them. I mean, you've got your there's a person here, alert. You've got like, that sounds a little bit different. Then you've got like a, fun, hey, I'm excited to see you bark, where they're excited. You've got like a nuisance bark where they're, you're sitting and eating dinner and they're like in front of you wanting a bite and they're barking at you to get like food or whatever it is. You've got, like a alert bark, that's like, I would say it's like a chain of like a longer bark, like where it, I don't want to make the noise, but it's like a.
Oh, you should. Oh, okay.
It's like a chain of like a bark that's like a little bit like elongated. That's more of like an alert bark. You've got.
So you really need to know your dog as to what they're communicating.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because some dogs bark to indicate that they need to go out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that could just be like a regular bark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we say to families that we don't want to necessarily stop dogs from barking because, number one, they're dogs and they bark. But then that makes more sense, doesn't it? If, they use their bark to communicate.
Yeah. Most people, when I'm asking people about their dogs barking or whatnot, the normal synopsis is I want my dog to bark when they're supposed to, which is like if people pull in the driveway or knock on the door, there's somebody on the property, and I want them to stop barking when I want them to stop. So if we bring somebody in, thank you for letting me know, please stop barking now. That's normally the synopsis of most people when they talk about, when you think about their dog barking and all the stuff that entails, that's normally what they ask for is, I want my dog to bark when he's supposed to, stop when he's not supposed to. That's normally it.
Don't know whether people have watched the interview you did with your trainer that you went to. I forgot his name. Joris, that's it. He's got something quite, I don't know what word I would use for it, but the thing where he was like, you have to teach your dog to bark to get them to stop barking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the like reverse concept of like if you don't want your dog to do something, like train them to do it first, so then you can train them what not to do, basically. Yeah. Interesting concept.
I found that. But you do that with Mia. You've trained Mia to bark on command.
Yeah. But also I've never had a problem with her barking, I guess.
No. But that's quite a fascinating thing, that if you teach them to bark on command,
Yeah.
then it's going to be easier to teach them when not to bark.
Yeah.
Is that
I have a funny barking story.
Okay, there we
so
go. See, we
I was,
prompted something.
When I was in dog training school, we had, part of dog training school, it's like trade school, but for dog trainers, basically, kind of always describe it. And, your grade's heavily weighted based off like what's known as like practicals, which is like you get assigned a dog and a command or something that you have to do with the dog, and then you have to train the dog to do the thing. And like 70% of your grade depends on the dog doing the behavior on test day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like 20 or 30% of your grade is like book work. Like, do you know that conceptually, and then can you actually do it, right? Hence the name practicals.
Yeah.
And so I had this dog named Bugsy, and love-hate relationship with him, but I had to train him to bark and alert to a seizure. And, and to train a dog to do that, you have to like model the seizure the person's having or whatnot, right? And so like you're not literally seizing, of course, but the goal is to be able to like train the dog to bark during the thing, and then they can kind of start pairing the scent, I guess, of the person having a seizure, and they can start barking and alerting you beforehand to prepare for the seizure, right?
Yeah.
And so we had an example video of this person seizing. And so the alert of the person seizing, for those that are just listening, it's basically just like the arm being up at like a 90-degree angle with like your kind of fist balled, and then like your fist like rotating or whatnot. Like it's, and it's just the fist rotating like this. And yeah, and so it's a very subtle motion. And so we had to train the dog to like alert to that. They gave us a month to train the dog to do it.
Oh, wow.
And you had to train for like all sorts of other stuff in the meantime too.
Yeah,
like this was like one of the bigger, this is one of the bigger ones. Anyways, 27 days in, no barks. I could not get this dog to bark for the life of me. He's a pointer too. Like he's like a pointers. I'm not saying that pointers don't bark, but like pointers are like known to like run to where I guess the birds are and like point, so then you can like flush them out or whatnot. But I don't think they're supposed to bark, because they are supposed to point, and then you're supposed to flush the bird so you can like shoot them or whatnot. I think if you barked, that would probably like ruin it.
They'd be gone, wouldn't they?
So I don't know if he had like a huge propensity to bark. Anyways, 27 days, no barking. And so I'm freaking out because I'm like, I'm about to flunk this and get a 0, right? And so I recruited a couple of friends to help me, and like, so we're brainstorming or whatnot. And basically what we came up with the idea, we like back tied him to a tree or something like that. So we could like put a couple leashes together and like back tied him to like a harness or a collar into this tree. And then we'd be in sight, and this is all outside. We'd be in sight, and then we'd step out of sight and just wait. And so now he's by himself. And so then he'd like be like, yo, what's happening? And so it took a few minutes, but then we're like, yo, what's happening? Why, like, where'd the people go?
Where have you gone?
So he barked, click on the clicker, run over, give him a huge jackpot, like all sorts of food.
Yeah.
Now he also didn't really like treats either. So I had to come up with the grossest concoction. I'm still hate wet dog food to this wet dog food and hot dogs to this day, but I had to crush up like wet dog food and hot dogs and like and cheese and combine it all together in this like gross mush and put it in a Ziploc bag. And it's North Carolina in the summertime. And so it's like I'm scooping it out to feed him out of my hand. And it's like wet dog food and hot dog particles are like stuck under my fingernails the whole summer. My hands smell bad the whole summer.
I can imagine what your reaction would be.
Absolutely terrible. And so anyways, he barks, run over to him, give him a huge jackpot full of food.
Yeah.
And then we do it again. So we go out of sight, and it's like less time, and he barks. Run over, give him food. Go out of sight, less time, barks, give him more food. And then we got the dog barking all the time. And he's like, oh, I'm getting a lot of food for barking. This is cool, right? So then we were able to do it inside, where we just stand far away from him, and he'd bark. And then we'd run over to him, give him food. Then we'd go a little closer, bark. And same thing, right? Successive approximations, baby steps. Yeah. So then we would just stand right in front of him. He would just stand there and bark at us. And then, so we introduced the motion. So we didn't just start with like this number, like the fist just rotating, like hands up. We started with like a lasso motion kind of above our head. And so then he started barking. So then we'd like make that more and more subtle, where it'd be like, to the point where we could get him to just do this. And so we had a few days to train him for the full exam on this little like fist rotating motion, right? Anyways, he's doing it like a champ. He's like, every time the fist is rotating, he's barking his head off. He loves it. He's doing so good. Test day comes around. And I think my mistake was I only trained him outside, like to do it outside. And then, because he had to alert to another person. It wasn't me having a seizure. It was another person, like a handler or something, like the person that he belongs to, like doing a service dog task.
Yeah.
Anyways, Test day comes around. We go. They had like this huge like double wide that was like kind of like base of operations at dog training school. It had all the fridges with the treats and like couple of offices that people worked in and stuff like that. Anyways, so there's like a big living room in there, and the lady is sitting in front of the front door or whatnot. I bring him in for the test or whatnot. She sits down and she starts like doing the fist motion. You could hear a pin drop. Dog's not making a single noise, no noise. And so I'm like, God, Bugsy, come on, dude, please bark. I'm like, I can't fail this. And so I'm like, I can't fail this test. So she starts like, so she's rotating her fist, like doing this very subtle. And then she starts like, kind of making her fist go a little more, right? Like she's, rotating her whole arm out a little bit. Anyways, it gets to the whole point where she's literally like lassoing above her head, like this number. And Bugsy's not making a freaking peep. He's not barking at all. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fail this. And so I'm like, I'm so discouraged. And I'm like, anyways, I mean, she had to do what she had to do, but I got a fat 0 on that one. So, anyway, he passed a lot of the other stuff. Like I had him for like emergency down and different things like that. And it was a big flop though on that one. And
so basically his owner could never have a seizure if she was outside. If she was inside, you're on your own, lady.
Basically. And so I'm like, I mean, I probably have videos of him barking somewhere where I'm like, oh, he was doing so good. Anyways, it was a big flop. Failed. Nothing. Big old nothing burger. So anyways, that's my funny barking story.
There you go. See, you can train a dog to bark.
Yeah, if they're outside.
If they're outside, yeah.
Funny story though about Yoris. So how I trained Mia to bark was Yoris had this awesome dog named Rhea, which we talked about on the podcast, but he would like shake his fist at her like this number and she'd start barking. And I thought that was cool, but I didn't want to copy him. So I made Mia's the hang loose sign. So every time I do this number, she'll start barking, which is fun. Anyways.
Too cute.
Is that tying a bow on barking? We good on that?
I think so. Do you think we've...
Yeah. Okay, I know you have one more question, but I wanted to introduce a new segment where we talk about doggy news. So I loaded this story up. You hadn't heard this story yet, but it's a goodie. But I had it loaded up on your phone.
Let me give you my phone ready.
All right. So this story, we're testing out different concepts on the show, and so one of them is like reading dog news, whether it's good news or bad news or whatever it is. And so this story, I found this kind of a tug on the heartstrings story, so to speak. But this story is titled. It's from USA Today, and we'll put the link down below and might throw some pictures on the screen as we're going through it. But senior dog found floating shopping cart gets a forever home. See the canal rescue, and so it's this image of this poor dog just stuck on a shopping cart in the middle of what I'm assuming is a canal or a river or something like that. And this happened in June of 2024. But the story was just written a couple days ago. So anyways, in an unusual scene caught on camera, a senior pup was found clinging to a partially submerged shopping cart in an Arizona canal before some good humans came to the rescue. In June, a 10-year-old Chihuahua mix, later named Dorothea, was spotted half floating through canal water in Phoenix. Looking soaked and tired, Dorothea was seen resting her head on a makeshift raft created by an old, mostly sunken shopping cart covered in greenery washed up by the canal. When a Good Samaritan spotted her predicament, they contacted the Arizona Humane Society, AHS, to get the senior dog some help. An AHS emergency animal medical technician named Hunter responded to the call alongside the Phoenix Fire Department, the Humane Society said in a press release. With fears for Dorothea's survival mounting, rescuers quickly crafted a plan. Using a ladder, responders climbed into the canal and lassoed her with an animal control pole, pulling her onto dry land. Besides looking a bit startled when her new friends finally managed to nab her, Dorothea was all tail wags when she finally returned to shore, said AHS. It's unknown how she ended up there or how long she was there. When assessed on AHS's pet ambulance, she was found to be dehydrated, hungry, and covered in ticks and a bit stinky from the canal water. Once at AHS, Lazen Animal Foundation Trauma Hospital, a more thorough exam found minor injuries and dental issues. Dorothea was otherwise in pretty good health. After a season of dental care for a few fractured teeth, the senior pup spent about a month at AHS, receiving medical care, a spa day, and coming out of her shell, showing her sweet and loving personality, described by shelter staff. And then it appears she was rescued. Dorothea being just one such story of resilience and survival. Those looking for more information on the work that AHS does. Anyways, a bunch more ads. But anyways, it appears she got rescued and found her forever home, which is very cool. Anyways, like I said, there should have been some pictures on the screen while I was reading that story so you could see her. But it's
poor baby.
Very,
I
very
bet,
sweet.
do you know what? With all these floods and things that we've had recently, I wonder how many other dogs got rescued floating on.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but I know that in I saw in like Florida before Milton, there were like a couple, like saw a couple videos of like dogs like tied to like fence posts and stuff like that, like left out for the hurricane. It's like who
would do that? That
Yeah,
doesn't
who would do
even
that?
give them a fighting chance.
Yeah, I saw this video of this like Florida sheriff deputy like walking up to this like bull terrier, like a big bull terrier, and there's the ones like the long faces with like the, kind of funny
the
looking
target
noses.
dogs.
Yeah. And anyways, tied to a fence post, and the dog's like backing up, but can't really go very far, and he's growling at him and stuff. So he had to rescue him, and I think the video ended up showing him like getting rescued or whatnot. But it's just, man, who would do that? Like,
Yeah, if you're not going to take your dog with you, at least just let them go.
yeah. Politics aside, I think Ron DeSantis in Florida actually made a law that if like you leave like your dog like tied up during the thing, like during the hurricane, like tied up to a fence post, or leave him like at the house during the hurricane or something, like you can be charged with like felony animal abuse or cruelty or something like that.
That's not a bad thing, is
I was about to say, yeah, it's pretty not a bad policy, right? So, yeah, because we don't like dog abusers or anything like that.
No.
I actually took. Oh, no, I'll skip it. Anyways, all right, let's do the next question.
Okay, let's do the last question.
Hey, real quick, I was going to say, let us know what y'all think about the dog news segment in the comments below. If you like it, don't like it, whatever it is, let us know if you want some more of that. Because like I said, we're testing out different segments, funny dog stuff we found on the internet, Sally's jokes, dog news, etc. So let us know what you thought about that on the show. So anyways, that being said.
I think it's nice to hear some doggy news,
Yeah.
what's happening out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a big thing coming up for the next few months, I know.
Sure.
But the question sent to us was, I want my 8-year-old child to be involved in training for our new puppy.
Okay.
Is that a possibility, or are they too young?
I definitely think it's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say any, sort of training or whatnot, just make sure first and foremost that, the dog is, you're supervising, so to speak, we're not just letting the 8-year-old, handle the dog by themselves, maybe, I guess. But yeah, I would definitely say so, especially over the holiday season as you get puppies and, Christmas puppies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure. I would say just make sure that first and foremost, just make sure that, your kid knows that it's, a dog and is to be respected and like not hit or tormented or mistreated or anything like that. Just make sure those ground rules are established first. And then in terms of training and stuff, I'd say I'd probably have the adult start and like get the, the dog like competent on whatever the commands are or anything like that. And then from that point, what I'd probably do is I'd move into, then once the dog's like, let's say you're teaching like sit or something, get the dog like competent, doing it, pretty good consistently, things like that. And then get the kids involved and like showing them and stuff like that. Like I have a ton of families that I've worked for personally over the years that, have kiddos or whatnot. And so I'll go, then I'll have the, mom or dad go, and then I'll have the kids get involved and stuff. And I typically pass the dog off like once the dog's competent, and then I'll help them out too. Like, like if I need to, I'll kind of guide their hand to where it's supposed to be or whatnot to get the dog to sit or lay down or help them walk the dog over and kind of back them up whenever they're telling the dog commands or whatever it is. So yeah, it's definitely possible. I'd encourage it. I think it's a really smart thing to do.
I think it's a great thing. And I think 8's a perfect age.
Yeah, for sure.
They know right from wrong. The dog has to listen to them. The amount of times we work with families saying that, the dogs are bowling the children over or they're nipping on the children. And so, yeah, let's get them involved. Henry used to come out to the games, didn't he? And work, do the games with Maxine. And
we had one family come out like pretty much every week with their son. They actually ended up hosting one of his birthday parties there, which I thought was so fun and so cool.
Yeah.
I would say another thing too, just on that is like when it comes to, having a puppy, there's a lot of like puppy behaviors and like, that where the kid wanted the dog originally, but then like turns the kid off from the dog where the dog doesn't want to be like, mess with the dog or anything or scared of him or whatnot. And that's normally all stems from like jumping with the sharp claws and the puppy biting and stuff. I'd say in that context, it's up to you to be like your child's advocate and tell the puppy no. Now, if you're having trouble with puppy nipping, go back a few episodes. We just did a huge episode on how to get your puppy to stop nipping, puppy principles, all that kind of stuff. So I would say start there for that episode with the puppy nipping, but it's up to you to be your kid's advocate to say, hey, dog, stop doing X behavior, which is biting and jumping and stuff like that, because that will, take a kid that wanted a dog and begged for a dog to like not liking the dog and stuff like that. Yeah. Because I've had families before too, where like, the one of the kids is like scared and like they're, one family comes to mind in particular, but they're like sitting on top of the dining room table, in the morning time. So the dog's not like jumping up on them and stuff. And it's like, scared to, walk past the dog because the dog's like jumping and, trying to like nip at him and stuff. And, it's tough for a, little boy or girl
It
to say
is, and
no
we
or
don't-
stop or whatever it is,
we don't
especially if
want-
the dog's bigger.
Yeah, and we don't want families thinking that they need to rehome the dog
Yeah,
when there's solutions to it.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So, and you know, if you're having trouble with any of that, and you know, you can't just get it by yourself, call a dog trainer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, call a dog trainer.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I think I'd encourage the kids to get involved. I think it's.
I think so. Make it a family affair. It's a family dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, do it together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. What else we got?
That's us for today.
All right. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in and watching and stuff like that. If you don't mind, help us get to our goal of 200 subscribers across all platforms by the end of the year. Yeah, so hit the subscribe, follow button, whatever it is. Once again, that'd mean the world to me and Sally.
Yeah.
To help us get to our goal of 200 by the end of the year. If you like the show, once again, we just remind you to please share the show. That's really helpful for growing and you know, getting new people, new eyeballs on the show. Once again, our goal with this is really just to provide good quality dog training information to people at, you know, no cost. So if you got any value out of it about barking or how to get your dog to stop barking, you thought it was funny, entertaining, whatever it is, please just share the show with a friend, family, colleague, somebody in your life that has a dog, and help out. That'd mean the world to us. And then, yeah, if y'all need help with training, just check out the description below, whichever platform you're on. There's gonna be some links to different websites, our in-home training business and the online training business. So whatever y'all need help with, we're here to help and serve however we can. So I guess with that being said, we are out. Who let the dogs out?
Time.
Bye-bye. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.